Let's bring in Kayleigh McEnany. She's a Trump 2020 campaign advisor. Kayleigh, we tried to get a hold of you a little earlier. We were having trouble with transmission. I know today's the closing argument, but really what you're trying to do is, you've got a great ground game. You're just trying to get all the people who you think are on the Trump team to show up by tomorrow.
Yes, and we have no doubt about that. Look, Steve, when we have these rallies and you have literally 45,000 RSVPs in a state, that should tell you something. We have a ground game. We turn out voters. You have Democrats who have made the biggest political miscalculation in modern American politics by not knocking on doors. They didn't start that until mid-September, hiding in the basement. The basement strategy will not work. President Trump will prevail on Election Day voting and beyond.
All right, so where will y'all be on election night, Tuesday night? If he does win, are y'all going to be together and celebrating?
Yes, we will be together. We'll be there at the White House in D.C. This president has earned a second term. You have a choice. Voters have a choice. The dark winter that Joe Biden has promised, or morning in America again. You see the sunny optimism of President Trump on stage. You see Joe Biden, who is promising us a dark winter ahead. I believe voters will endorse the hottest economy in modern history that President Trump is bringing back once more.
So, Kayleigh, a lot of people are making this story a big deal that the president kind of kicked to the curb, and that is that he's going to declare a premature victory. He's going to see things trending in the right way. He's going to call a press conference, and he's going to say, I won. Has anything like that been drawn up? Has anything like that been talked about?
No, what that is the Joe Biden crowd, knowing that they are on the brink of defeat, making things up and peddling it in the press. This president's prepared to win resoundingly. We believe that we're actually going to pick up states. The numbers are looking good. I'm here in Miami-Dade County right now, where we had historic Republican turnout at the polls. The Trafalgar poll, the only poll that ever predicted President Trump would win Michigan, has predicted 5 times, including last night, that he will win Michigan again. That is a fake news story that the left is peddling because they know the numbers look bad. It's why Joe Biden finally emerged from the basement and is finally out on the campaign trail, even going to places like Minnesota.
Kayleigh, in normal years, it seems like by the end of election night, we know who the winner is the next day. But this year, given the fact that there are so many early ballots that have been cast via mail and walk-in and things like that, a lot of states don't even start counting them until after the polls have closed tomorrow night. The Pennsylvania Secretary of State yesterday said it could be days before all the votes are counted in Pennsylvania because 10 times as many mail-in ballots have been submitted as 2016. So during that purgatory of waiting for the news on how states turn out, what's the campaign's plan?
Well, look, we believe that Americans deserve to know the victor of the election. On election night, if you look back through American history, there's one election where we didn't know the victor in the 24-hour period afterwards, and that was Bush v. Gore in 2000. And I don't think that was a pretty good moment for American politics in the country. We don't believe that voters should have to wait for days on end. We know that that's subject to fraud, finding new ballots out there. We've seen multiple cases of fraud as we've moved forward through the primaries, and we believe that the vote should be counted. It should be tallied like it always has, and America should rise to the occasion and do what has always been the great American tradition of counting ballots on the day of the election.
Kayleigh, I know if the president doesn't get Pennsylvania, he has to get Michigan or he has to get Wisconsin and Nevada. Yesterday, Joe Biden said at one of his speeches that the president doesn't stand a chance in Pennsylvania. He also said this, listen.
The people of this nation have suffered and sacrificed for 9 months, none more so than our doctors and our frontline healthcare workers. This president questioning their character, their integrity, their commitment to their fellow Americans. It's more than offensive. It's a disgrace. He's a disgrace to say it. We have a president who's given up. I'll never give up, nor will America give up. We'll never wave the flag of surrender. We're going to beat this virus. We're going to get it under control. The truth is, to beat the virus, we first got to beat Donald Trump. He's the virus.
Kayleigh, what's your reaction? He's calling the president the virus.
Well, first, I don't know why he always shouts through his campaign speeches. That is an appalling statement. And contrary to what Joe Biden just said, this president rose to the occasion. Right now, when you look at ER visits, only 2.8% are COVID related. We've reduced the mortality rate by 85%, created a vaccine in record time by the end of the year. Therapeutics that work, the greatest testing system in the world. That's what this president did with the novel virus. What did Joe Biden do with the swine flu? Joe Biden stopped testing, cut off testing, did not deliver a vaccine in time, and survived through the swine flu because of mere fortuity, according to his chief of staff. This president is offering, again, morning in America, while Joe Biden is offering a dark winter where churches are shuttered, workplaces are shuttered, and schools are closed down. That's not what the American people want, and we will see that in a mere 24 hours.
Today, Germany shuts down for at least a month. We know France has shut down for at least a month. Everyone has went to the countryside. And I think hours ago, Boris Johnson went from a regional lockdown to a total lockdown. The president says he will not do that. Well, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who looks to, if Joe Biden wins, to have a place in his cabinet, said this yesterday.
If Joe Biden wins, should another lockdown be on the table?
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that, because we will see swift action coordinating with and supporting public health authorities, telling us what we can do as citizens without requiring any kind of mandates. But everything has to be on the table in order to keep Americans safe. Look, we should never have got to this point. It should never have been allowed to get this bad. I've been talking to a lot of small business owners, especially here in the Midwest, who are saying, look, even when they're able to open, customers aren't going to come unless they know they're safe. This is one of many reasons why the first rule of virus economics is to beat the virus, or else you won't have an economy. And that's got to be the focus.
I didn't know there was virus economics, but he says so. It's on the table. The president's taken a lockdown off the table. He's in power. Joe Biden's in power. It's on.
Yeah, it's not just on the table, Brian. 19 now. We know who it affects. We know how to protect our elderly, our seniors, our vulnerable, where we've surged testing. But Americans have lost their job, their way of life, their wages. We're finally coming back with historic GDP growth. Under this president, we cannot have a president that succumbs to the virus. We need a president that overcomes the virus. And that is exactly what President Trump has done, while Joe Biden will put his hands forward and surrender, lock down your schools, your churches, and your workplaces.
You know, Kayleigh, election night 2020 is unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime, because usually at the end of the night, you're expecting balloon drops and confetti and things like that. Instead, you know, there are businesses all across America that are boarding up because they're afraid there could be, you know, if one candidate wins a certain way, suddenly people are going to be so hacked off they're going to go and knock out the windows at the Gap or something like that. They are increasing security in Portland and Philadelphia, Lansing, Michigan, Baltimore, Charlottesville, Detroit, Janesville, Wisconsin, Chicago, New York City, and Washington, D.C. What does that say to you about the state of America in 2020, that if a certain candidate is elected or reelected, people are going to, you know, rather than vote to impact change, they're going to try to break a window?
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Notice what those cities have in common. They are all Democrat cities. What are they saying with these boarding up and the civil unrest that they're expecting? They're saying, if you don't choose the left's chosen candidate, we will send the left out to attack you. That's as close to extortion as you can get. And Joe Biden has the power to say, stand down to the mob. Will he do it? This is all the proof you need that the left should not be given federal power. We deserve the great American tradition of democracy, of peaceful elections, of accepting the vote of the American people. But the boarded up windows, the closed down stores tell you all you need to know about the modern American left. The violence is unacceptable, and they are not deserving of federal power.
All right, Kayleigh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.